Do you ever wish that you had your own private source of energy, your own private support, that enthusiasm, maybe a cheerleader on your side? Well, my dear, you can. When you start to strengthen the character traits associated with transcendence, you'll find that there is something bigger than you, more powerful than you, and that's going to help you move forward even when you feel like you're all alone. I am leadership development coach Kathy Archer, author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. And we have been unpacking these virtues week by week by week. This is the last week, 7th week. We are unpacking the virtues of transcendence today. So give me a thumbs up if you have been following along, if you've done your VI signature strengths. If you have, put a note in the chat box and tell me what your top 3 or 5 traits are. While you're doing that, either watching live or on the replay, I'm going to pop on over and share this into my Confident Women Leaders group. Give me a half a second. I got to find myself. Here we are. Share in group. Confident Women Leaders group. If you are not part of the Confident Women Leaders group, the link is up in the notes. You can join that and find out all about getting supported with a group of other women who are on similar challenges as you. I mean, we're all going through this. And I think the biggest challenge that many of us face is we feel isolated and alone. Hop into that group, find other women going through it. But also today, as we talk about transcendence, you're going to find out how not to feel so alone all the time. Now, before we get there, I just want to give you a heads up. I put a poll in the Confident Women Leaders group a couple weeks ago about what webinar people wanted. Hey, Sue, good to see you on. What webinar people wanted for November, and the vote was pretty clear. So on November 14th, there is a webinar called Finding Work-Life Balance When Work Never Stops. So make sure if that's something you are interested in, you register for that. It's an hour-long webinar. We're going to help you look at a little bit of a holistic approach to work-life balance, maybe a little bit different than you've tried in the past. So make sure you join that webinar. Again, the link is up in the notes. Finding Work-Life Balance When Work Never Stops. All right. Today, we are moving on to the virtues of transcendence. So remember, we've been working week by week through all of these virtues, and we've been talking about the character traits associated with each of those virtues, which is kind of the path to that virtue. So we want to live a virtuous life. We want to live in alignment with our morals, our ethics, our values, our beliefs. We want to feel good and have behaviors that other people see as good as well. And to do that, we need to practice these traits. So the first week we looked at, I have to remember these, so bear with me. If you know them before I do, type them into the chat box. First week we looked at wisdom. And in wisdom, we looked at creativity, and we looked at learning, lifelong learning, those things that help us sort of get that cognitive bigger space. Next, we looked at courage, bravery, and authenticity, all of those ones that help us kind of go inside and have that oomph that we need to get out. Then we looked at humanity, seeing ourselves sort of connected to other people and how we do that. Then we looked at leadership, and that was all about, working with other people and having those relationships with other people. Last week, we talked about temperance, which was, learning to control our emotions and our urges, and, living a little bit more with prudence was one that we talked about. And then finally today, we're unpacking the virtues of transcendence. If you have not done this yet, hop on over, grab your the link and do your virtues in action. Signature strengths takes like 5 minutes. Find out what your top strengths are. As we go through these, we've been talking about you can strengthen and use those strengths more, but you can also look at some of the other traits that maybe are lower on your list, are not as strong, and there's times that you want to work on those as well. So today, transcendence. Transcendence are the strengths that forge connections to the larger universe and provide meaning. So it's about something bigger than you, and there's a sense of purpose. And I think many of us are missing that sometimes. If this is your strength, you see possibilities where others lack the ability to sort of see those possibilities. And, especially in leadership, we need to have people who see the future with a positive frame of mind, who can, lift their head up out of the muck and sand and chaos of the day and go, you know what? tomorrow's going to be better. Here's the vision out there. Let's work towards that. So as we unpackage each of these traits, start to think about, maybe, is there one that's already a strength of yours that you want to use more? Or is there one that you want to, that doesn't fall into your top sort of 5 or whatever, that maybe you want to work on and maybe bring up a little bit more? And if that's something you're going to do, again, there's a guide sheet up in the notes as well that helps you kind of go through that. So first one happens to be my number 1 signature strength: appreciation of beauty and excellence. Now, this one I think gets kind of pushed to the side sometimes and not seen as important, but here's one of the key things: appreciation. One of my strengths is also sort of that maximizer. I see the best in people, and I'm going to help those people reach their potential. That's kind of what appreciation of beauty and excellence is. It's that I notice, sunrises and sunsets and beautiful flowers and waterfalls and all of that kind of stuff. But it also means that I see the beauty in you, and I see the beauty in myself, and I'm willing to look at that and see what it can be, see it for what it is, and then see what else I can do. So there's 3 parts to appreciation of beauty and excellence. It's that physical beauty, sunrises and flowers. It's the skills and talents, your skills and talents, my skills and talents, and then it's virtue. So I'm good at picking out when somebody else is being virtuous. Wow, that's a really hard decision you have to make, but you are really in alignment with your values making that decision. I can see that in people, and I can help them come into alignment with that. If this is something that you want to work on, here are some tips for you. There's a ton of videos out there that really help you kind of look at nature in a different perspective. There's time-lapse videos that make mushrooms grow or flowers grow, and it really connects you to that bigger sense. One of the tricks, I follow Brendon Burchard, who is one of the gurus out there in the self-help personal development world, and he has an exercise where he says, when you're falling asleep at night, sort of think of 3 things. What did I see that was beautiful today? What did I hear that was beautiful today? And what did I say that was beautiful today? And I often do this as I'm falling asleep at night. What did I see? Well, I seen a sunrise, or I seen my granddaughter's face. What did I hear? I heard the squeals of my granddaughter. I might say that I heard a client say something. I might say that I heard something on social media. And then, what did I do or say or feel that was beautiful? How did I do that? So the other day I ran into somebody who just needed a hug. And, we stood there outside in the freezing cold, and she sort of fell into me, and I hugged her for, probably a good 30 seconds while she sobbed. To me, that was something beautiful that I did. I gave that person space to just be, to feel, to let that out. And I gave her permission to that. To me, that was something beautiful. So that's appreciation of beauty and excellence. So if I don't stop talking, I'm never going to get through all of these, because there's 5 of them. Give me an example of what you sort of see as beauty and excellence as well, or any of the other ones as we go through them. Second one is gratitude. And, I think we all talk about, the sort of gratitude journals and, the attitude of gratitude. But gratitude is a little bit deeper than that. I think we miss the mark sometimes when we make gratitude be that quick, simple thing. It is the awareness of the good things that happen to you and never taking them for granted. But it's also about taking the time to express that gratitude. And again, when we take gratitude to a deeper level, it's more than just, hey, thanks for doing that. It's more like, I really appreciate that you did that for me, because it gave me the opportunity to go do this. See how you take gratitude to that next level? That's important. Or you will take gratitude for a situation that doesn't feel good, and you'll say, you know what? I'm grateful that I lost sleep last night and struggled going to sleep, because it gives me that ability to recognize what other people are going through when they're feeling that. And so I can be more compassionate when somebody else is struggling with insomnia too. I can talk about it with other people who are having trouble sleeping at night. And so we can change the way we're seeing gratitude in those challenging moments. So yes, gratitude journal. But one of the other practices is actually writing it down for that person. Sticky notes, old-fashioned cards. I had got this plate back from an older lady that we'd given turkey dinner to on what was the last holiday? Thanksgiving. And here's this plate back. And this plate is inside a Ziploc baggie, and inside, sitting on the plate so that it didn't get lost, is this handwritten note that she said, "Thank you for the dinner. It was just great." And that note is still sitting on my counter because it means something to me that somebody took the time to write their expression of gratitude out. Interestingly enough, gratitude is positively correlated with life satisfaction, immune functioning, and a decrease in anxiety and depression. So if you're feeling sick, express gratitude. If you're wanting to boost your immune system, practice gratitude. If you're struggling with anxiety and depression, practice gratitude more. If you want to be more satisfied with life, gratitude is your ticket. So I always think it's interesting to see what the correlations are. Hope, interestingly, is our next one. So first one we were talking about was appreciation of beauty and excellence. We're unpacking the virtues of transcendence for those of you just tuning in now. The last sort of pillar on the virtues in action signature strengths. Transcendence, we are talking about, the first one was appreciation of beauty and excellence. We just finished up with gratitude. Now we're moving on to hope. Hope is often that optimism. It's that positive future mindedness, that positive orientation. Again, it's about being able to take what's going on, which may not be pretty, may not be comfortable, may not feel good, but recognize that tomorrow will be better. And I think that's the biggest thing about hope, is it's expecting that tomorrow will be better and then taking the action to make it happen. It's not just about, oh my God, please make tomorrow better. It's about, oh my God, please make tomorrow better. And here's what I need to do to make tomorrow better. Think of the opposite of hope, despair. What is despair? Despair is thinking, oh my God, it's never going to change. Tomorrow's going to be the same as it is today. I'm on the hamster wheel. There's no point in trying to make change. It's hopeless. That's the opposite of hope and optimism. And we don't want to go down that path. We hear that path far too often. If you watch any news, you know that path well. If you hear the side conversations at meetings and in organizations, you've heard that sense of despair. If you want to sort of boost up that hope and optimism, here are some things that you can do. Talk with other people. So, maybe it's your partner and you're talking about your future together, but also in your organizations with the people you're working with, make a concerted effort to have those conversations that talk about how the future is going to be better than today. What does the future look like? How is it going to impact your clients? What's it going to be like for you guys? Talk about that. Build that enthusiasm for that future. That's how you start to cultivate hope. One of the other things, if you're struggling with an upcoming meeting, we often hit those points where like, oh my God, I do not want to go to this meeting. It's going to be painful. They're going to, do this. This is going to happen. Try really hard to cultivate some sense of hope or optimism for that meeting. We don't sort of get excited or energized or confident or hopeful. We build it from within. And so you have to figure out what's going on inside of you, change your thoughts, change your attitude, shift your perspective and go, okay, yeah, it's going to be a difficult meeting, but you know what? I'm pretty optimistic that at the end of this, we're going to get to this point. Or that I know this is going to be difficult and the end result may not be what I want, but I know it's going to make me a stronger communicator, or it's going to help me build a better relationship with that person. And so you start to see just those little pieces in the middle, despite the rest, that are going to help you get through. If you have any questions, pop them in. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. No. Okay. So moving on. Again, I know this is going to be a long one today because there's so many of them. Humor is next. Humor is highly correlated with your ability to manage stress. So if you are overwhelmed, if you are struggling, if you are swamped and you're feeling like you can't even, reach the life preserver, pull in that sense of humor. Just find the lightness in the moment. I had the character interviews that we were talking or that we did a while back, Pam was on, and Pam was talking about, when you walk into the bathroom and you still have toilet paper attached to your behind, to laugh about it, right? That's what we need to do sometimes, is just bring that lightness to the moment. If your strength is humor, the character trait of humor, you like to laugh a lot, you like to tease, and it's important that you make people smile. I'm pretty sure, we haven't done this yet, and I haven't asked him, but I don't know if he would or not. But my husband, if he did the VIA signature strengths, I'm almost positive humor would be his top one. He is so good at taking a situation and just, bringing that sense of humor to it, making a little comment, making a noise, or saying something that just makes somebody smile. And that's important, especially in those difficult moments. It's not making light of the situation. Sometimes it's a really dark, difficult situation. But to bring that sense of humor in allows us to move through it. So it's shifting your perspective, seeing the light side of things. Here's the light side of things. Sorry, I'm rushing. Slow down, Kathy. Here's the interesting thing when I started to research humor. Humor requires that you have that ability to manage your emotions and your thoughts and remain composed. That, my dear, is emotional intelligence. It's important for you not to get that anxiety building in you and just let it take you and run away with you and drive you crazy. It's important to go, whoa, I feel what's going on. I feel the tension in the room. I feel everybody else getting anxious and worried and panicked. How can I shift this and just see the light side of things? And, maybe you're in a dark dungeon. You've all got the masks on because you got to do that. And you're just, whatever's happening, you can throw a comment out. I'll use an example for my husband again. He was in a meeting and the fire alarm went off and nobody wanted to leave. And he's like, we have to go. So outside they went. And I can't remember what he said. Oh, I know. Once they got outside and they're freezing their butts off, he made a comment like, okay, who needed another smoke break? And it's just the opportunity when you're freezing your butt off, you all left your jackets inside because the smoke detector went off or the alarm went off, fire alarm went off. And, in the middle of a meeting to just go, hey, it's not as bad as we think. Let's just see some positive light in it. Here's a couple ways that you can cultivate that trait of humor. One is, we talked about a gratitude journal. Start a funny journal. Notice things that were humorous during the day. Start to keep that eye out for humor. You'll notice if you start looking for pink cars, you'll see pink cars. If you start looking for butterflies, you'll see butterflies. Try it. I guarantee. Just pick something, and whatever it is, you'll start to notice it. So maybe you'll want to start noticing humor. And then the other way of cultivating more humor is to smile more often. Literally smile. Smiling changes the chemicals in your body and makes you feel better. And when you smile at somebody else, whether it's a stranger, somebody at the grocery store, whether it's your employee or your family or yourself, it totally changes the mood. Practice smiling more often. It's one of the first things I do when I walk into the bathroom in the morning. I look in the mirror and smile at myself. And I might wake up going, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. And all of a sudden, oh, but today's another day and we'll see how today goes. It's that shift in your energy when you literally change the muscles in your face. And again, when you smile at somebody else, the whole world changes. In that moment when you just, maybe you look across the meeting and it's a rough meeting and maybe you just smile a little, or you give a little wink, or you make a little funny face. Not in a way, you have to be careful because you don't want other people to think that you're making light of what they're saying or what's going on, but in a way that just sort of says, you know what, we're all in this together and we'll get through it. That's what humor is all about. Any questions, pop them in, let me know. Okay, so appreciation of beauty and excellence, gratitude, hope and optimism, humor. Last one in the virtues of transcendence is spirituality. Now, I thought this was very interesting. Spirituality is highly correlated with marriage stability, a sense of purpose, and happiness. Now, I have to be careful. We are not talking about religion here. We're talking about spirituality, which is that strong belief in a higher purpose, something bigger than you. You might call it God, you might call it source, you might call it creator, you might call it none of those. But you have a sense that it's not just you doing this. And remember when I said at the beginning that don't you wish you had this sort of private little power or private little enthusiastic person cheering you on? That's kind of what spirituality is. It's knowing that you're not alone, that there is something bigger than you, that you're connected to something bigger than you, that we all are. And here's the interesting thing, your beliefs shape your actions. So if you believe down deep that it's not just you doing this, you'll be more optimistic. You'll throw that little sense of humor into the conversation. You'll pull in some of those other ones like courage that we talked about, or that ability to be authentically you, that way that you feel more aligned with who you are, because you're not doing this alone, and it's not just about you. And I think where we often struggle is we get this sense that we are the only one going through it. I was talking to somebody yesterday who got an early retirement package, and she's struggling because she has no sense of purpose. She's not the only one that's ended her job and had this lack of purpose. There are a zillion other people out there who are also experiencing this. Are you having trouble with your board chair? There's probably a ton of other people who have had trouble with their board chair. Are you struggling with a certain stage in life, parenting, going through menopause, divorce, whatever it is? So have a zillion other people. And when we can start to put our lives into perspective and see us as something bigger, we also start seeing that our work, our role, what we're doing is about more than just what we're looking at today in front of us. It's not just about this email. It's not just about this meeting. It's not just about this conversation or this client. It's a much bigger scene. And that's a really important piece to connect yourself to as a leader and your team to as a leader. The key thing with spirituality, I think, for leaders is that you find a deeper sense of meaning in your work. Why do you do this work? There are a ton of other jobs you could probably go do, and there's probably a lot that you can make more money than you're making at. Why are you here? What's the purpose? Why bother? Why stick with this? What's the meaning in your work? And when you can connect to that sense of meaning, that's when you start to change your ability to be brave, to stay focused, maintain that level of confidence, to have those difficult conversations, to watch your moods and emotions and all that's going on and manage them. When you recognize that it's not really just about me, it's about this bigger sense of purpose. There's some ways that you can look or help you with this. A couple things, prayer, meditation, do those things. And again, this isn't about religion, although that might be a part of it. For me, that's an active part of spirituality, as I attend church on a regular basis. I read scripture daily. I pray, not just daily, but probably all day long. That's a huge part. By the way, this is one of my other top 5. There was 3, I think, in this bottom row that sit on my top 5. Appreciation of beauty and excellence, gratitude, hope, and spirituality. Actually 4 of these traits fit in my top 5 of my Via Signature strengths. And so that's what I'm good at. That's what I am strong in, is helping you, helping the world, helping myself, helping my family see it's about a bigger picture. We're not put on this earth just to simply get up every morning, go to work, come home, watch TV, scroll through Facebook, and go to bed. We are meant on this planet to do something, to make a change, to impact, to leave a legacy. And that's ultimately why I do what I do, is to help you figure out what is your impact. Why do you do the work you do? What's bigger than you? What's important for you to connect with? And that's what this whole trait of spirituality is. So if you're struggling, feeling like I'm the only one, and I get up every day and it's just, I got to get through this, it might be time for you to head out for a walk in nature. Just get outside and reconnect with something bigger than you. It might be time for you to sit still and feel the sense of something around you. It might be time for you to pray. It might be time for you to go to church or to have a conversation with a spiritual director or a guru who's involved in energy work. Or it might be time for you to listen to Abraham Hicks videos over and over again. Read The Secret, The Law of Attraction. It might be time for you to start studying Buddhism. All of those things are connected to spirituality, and it helps you get that sense of what's bigger than you. Poetry is another great example. There's a great poem by Rumi when he talks about the emotions that hit us every morning, and that don't push them away, let them in. There's a reason for them. And when you can start to connect to experiences that other people have had, you realize it's about something bigger than you. If you have questions, pop them into the chat box. I know I've given you a ton of information today and over the past 7 weeks as we've really started to look at who are you and who are you becoming? And are the actions and the behaviors that you're doing today, what you're saying, what you're doing, in alignment with who you are and who you're becoming? Because if they're not, that's when you feel that friction. If you can sit down and go, these are my values, this is what I believe in, this is what hill I will die on, and you've got that all laid down, and then you look at your day-to-day actions, and if they're not parallel with each other, if you have this like disconnect between what you believe, what you stand for, what hill you'll die on, and what you're doing, you're going to feel like crap. It's when you start to align those two things that you start to feel more satisfied, feel happier, feel joyful, find the sense of movement in your body and in your work and in your day-to-day instead of that stuck feeling. You have to sit down and look at that first. This is why I harp on this all the time. You absolutely have to do the inner work. This is not something you can sit here and listen to me ramble on for a half hour every week and go, okay, I got it. You actually have to sit down, pull out a journal, do some reflective work, and go, what are my values? What do I believe in? What are my ethics and morals? I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were asking her to, fudge some numbers. It's all good. She's like, no, I will not commit fraud. That's a clear boundary. There was a ton of other people behind her that turned a blind eye. And she has said, no way, no how. These are my ethics and values. And she's struggling. Let me tell you, it's not an easy conversation to have. It's not an easy, working through that. But when you can stick with that, you're going to feel better at the end of the day. And so remember that. Who am I and who am I becoming? And, are my actions and what I'm saying and what I'm doing in alignment with that? And so the whole process of developing your character is figuring that out, and then coming back on that regular basis to go, okay, did that work? Didn't it work? At the end of the day, sitting down going, oh, that meeting that I had today, I kind of said something I didn't feel so good about. Yeah, that's why I felt like crap this afternoon. Okay, so what happened? Here was my value. I'm want to be compassionate with people. What I actually did was I dismissed the struggle that they're going through, and it didn't feel good to me. Okay, well, what I want to do next time? Well, I'd want to slow the meeting down and maybe make a comment. Okay, great, you got it in your head, right? You start to figure out, who am I becoming? Okay, now I know what I want to do next time. You may flop and fail 5 more times before you ever get to that, but it's just like riding a bike. You didn't get on your bike and do it the first time. That's what character development is all about, is actually, falling off the bike, getting on again, falling off the bike, getting on again, falling off the bike, getting on again. It's also about correcting and fixing things after the fact. There's nothing wrong with the next day going to have a conversation with that person and saying, you know what? I feel like I didn't honor your struggle during the meeting yesterday. And I know that this isn't in front of everybody else, but I want to say that I realize that you're struggling with this and it's difficult for you. And I want to acknowledge that. That's not fixing it in the moment, but man, oh man, you're going to start to feel more in alignment when you do that. And that's the catch for you, is to find that way to feel more in alignment. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to be working through if you join the Lead with Your Strength of Character, which is the 6-month character building course that I'm starting in a couple weeks. because you have to do this with feedback. You got to talk to the people around you. In the course, we'll do one-to-one coaching. We'll have conversations with each other. You do not develop your character in isolation. You develop your character when you try and fail, figure out what you did wrong, start again, identify your values, and you do it in relationship with other people. That's an important piece. So make sure that you pop up into the notes, click the link, Learning to Lead with Your Strength of Character, if that's something you're interested in. All right. Any questions, let me know. We have been unpacking all of these virtues over the last 7 weeks, to really get a sense of the underlying sort of drivers to help us live that virtuous life. When you're living a virtuous life, my dear, you actually feel good. And that makes an incredible difference. Other thing I want to quickly remind you of before I end today is this month's webinar is Finding Work-Life Balance When Work Never Stops. The link is up in the notes. It's November 14th, 1 hour. We're going to take a little bit more of a holistic approach to work-life balance, and I think you're going to be impressed. You're going to learn a few things that help you manage your day rather than try and manage time, which you can't do. So that link is up in the notes as well. Again, at any point in time, if you have questions, you're watching this on the replay, pop them in and I will jump in and answer them. For those of you that have followed along all of these videos and all of today, thank you. I know that you're committed to growing yourself. I know that you want to live that virtuous life, that you want to make a difference, leave a legacy, live a meaningful life, and have fun and enjoy it along the way. That's the important piece, right? This isn't all drudgery and work. We want to feel good. We want to feel happy, satisfied, do meaningful work, and feel like we're making a difference. Keep working on this, my dear, and that's exactly what you're going to do. And then, my dear, you will move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.